Welcome back to Books and Beyond with That Guy Jay. I am, of course, your host, That Guy Jay. I am joined by my friend Andy. This is actually his second time on the podcast. I had to go
Yeah.
back and check. He was actually on episode 15 last March, so almost a year ago. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining me again. How are you doing today?
Dude, I'm great. Thanks for having me again.
And I
Excited.
normally record this part by myself, but since I have a fellow watch person with me, we can do the watch of the day together. But real quick, before we show our watches, if you could hit the like, subscribe, any of the buttons, it helps tremendously. Greatly appreciate it. What do you have on today for your watch of the day?
Well, it's the new one that I
The new
got.
one, the exciting
Yeah.
one.
It's the new this is a 1993 Chrono Swiss regulator or regulateur.
I gotta add the accent.
Yeah, you have to. But
I'm
yeah, I'm
impressed
really
with
liking
how
this.
quickly you got that.
They did like a priority overnight for me. And it's funny because I was like, am I getting special treatment? And then I talked to so many guys that all tried FTW the Collective, which is that new service that Federico started. And every single person was like, yeah, I placed my order and I like my watch was in my hands within 2 days. And I'm like,
Awesome.
nice. Yeah,
And
I
it's
like
and it's
that.
something that you can trust.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that guy's been basically working in watches since he had working papers. So,
That's amazing.
yeah.
That my watch of the day is on the very opposite end of the spectrum, but I wore this one for a particular reason because it's a subject we can get into. But this was actually my first mechanical watch. It's an Addy's Dive. It's a Captain Willard homage. A
I
few years
remember
ago
when you
when I
got it.
first and it was my first mechanical watch, and I didn't want to spend a ton because I wasn't sure I was a watch guy yet. I had a Casio AE 1200, and I was like, I want to try one of those automatic ones, and AliExpress gave me all sorts of coupons. I got this for $60, and
It's
like it's
clean.
it's got an NH35 movement in it, so it's got a Seiko movement. And my opinion has changed a little bit since I got it. On homages like this, I think it's a little bit too much of a direct copy, but I'll never get rid of it because it was my first mechanical.
Good. Don't you dare.
Yeah, and this is actually one of my only dive watches, which is one of the things I wanted to talk about today because I think 2026 might be the year I finally get a dive watch.
Let's talk about that, dude. You know that I like to. All right, so what are you thinking? What are you considering so far?
I'm really torn between I like because I'm going to go affordable for a dive watch because field watches are really my favorite. But I want to add a dive watch to mix in. I really like Orient and I like the Mako more than the Kamasu. But then
Yeah, the
Orient,
Mako's more modern.
yeah. And then I'm also super tempted to get an Islander. I just they make such great watches, and I've tried them on, but I've never owned one. And I think that they offer way better value than actually getting a Seiko.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say anything bad about Orient because they're great. Makos are great. They're all great. You're gonna get a better watch with Islander.
Yeah, and
100%. I can tell you like multiple reasons why. The specs are better, first of all. Like, Seiko and Orient aren't always giving you sapphire crystals when they really should, because at the end of the day, now as consumers, we understand how much it costs these brands to put a sapphire crystal in their watches, and we're like, okay.
yeah,
Like
that's
there's
that's my
there's no
big
reason
argument
why Seiko should
against.
charge 500 more. Sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah,
to talk over you.
no, that's fine. It's a big thing for me with why Seiko isn't really the go-to affordable brand anymore because you actually have to spend over $500 to get into a sapphire crystal. Whereas it's
Why?
like you can get into like granted
Citizen doesn't do that to you.
no Citizen doesn't. And, um, none of the micro brands do it either. You can get into some of the micro brands for $200-300 and it has a Seiko movement. A lot of them are going with like the NH34 nowadays. So you're getting a complication, and you're getting sapphire crystal, and you're getting like the ceramic insert for the bezel, and you're getting a better bracelet quality
That's what I was going to get to
for
next
hundreds of
is
dollars less.
the bracelet quality difference between an Islander bracelet and a Seiko or an Orient bracelet or even a Citizen bracelet is crazy. They're
Yeah.
that much better. We're talking solid links, solid end links, incorporating male and female end links when appropriate to make sure that the watch fits correctly. All of that stuff is taken into consideration at Islander because Mark, he not only knows what people typically complain about with Seiko and the other brands and like all the other brands, but he has those same complaints, so he's absolutely not going to make a watch that has any of those like kind of crappy features. So when you get into one, you realize it's a lot better, but also they do a little bit of regulation over there, so you're getting a more accurate watch. So even if it has the same movement as a Seiko, it's gonna work better. It's
Yeah, so
overall it's better value.
I'm real tempted to go with an Islander. Um, I've always liked the Seiko SKX as everyone did, but I could never justify paying what they go for now because they discontinued them and the used market got a little crazy on them. But I think what did Mark call it? The ISL 01.
Yes,
And then he has a couple different variants of it now, and it's like that's real tempting. And then I also really like the GMT, the JFK.
that's the one that I bought from them, and like I have that problem where I buy and sell a lot, right? That one, like, I sold it to a friend because he really, really wanted it. He couldn't buy it off the internet because his wife could not see the credit card
Yeah,
transaction.
yeah, had
But
to be a sneaky purchase.
he had some cash lying around that he had been saving up because he wanted to buy a watch, and he was like, "Can I buy?" Was like I was wearing it all the time, but I also had been buying a bunch of watches and I had a few Islanders. Like I still have what three of the Islanders from like my original purchases. So like I had a few and I was like, you know what? I'll sell this one to him. But then when I sold it to him, I was like, dude, you just sold your favorite Islander.
Yeah,
Like why'd you do
because it's
that?
that's
Like you
such a
could have
nice.
been
It's so classy looking.
the JFK one, like everything about it is so good. The dials on them are unbelievable. The bezels are great, but that case wears so good because the lug to lug is just shrunk down perfectly where it just looks good on any wrist. But it's substantial.
Yeah, and the Islander, it almost feels like a little bit of like cheating because they make so many good ones. So it's like it seems like such a cliche answer, but they just work and they're great prices. But then there's also I really like some of the micro brands that have done like skim divers, like mimicking some of the '70s ones. I
Yeah,
really like they're a
sure.
little bit slimmer. I think a lot of them are like 15 bar for the pressure instead of 20, but like I'm not actually going diving, so it's not going to make a huge difference.
Let's be real. I only need 100.
Yeah, yeah. It's like my Murph is 100 meters, and I do sometimes wish it had a screw down crown just for safety, but also like I
Yeah.
wouldn't worry about it getting wet.
Yeah, it's true.
The
Well,
most I'm going to do is go swimming in a pool.
yeah, that's true. But water damage is terrifying. Like
Yeah,
I actually, I'm going to see my buddy Mike tomorrow to review his watch collection in person. But
nice.
he hit me up prior, and he was like, "Just so you know, there's going to be three less Breitlings here than normal." And I go, "What?" And he got water damage on one of them. It's
Wow.
because he was lazy and he not only had the crown unscrewed, but he had it fully pulled out and he forgot. I don't know how you forget about your crown. Like I never have.
Me either.
That's just me. And he was like, "Yeah," and then I got busy, was doing dishes, a whole bunch of stuff, and I looked down, there was just moisture inside, and I go, "Dude,
Yeah, that's
that's
going to take a
crazy."
whole service, and they're going to have
They
to.
already told him it's going to cost them.
Yeah, because I mean they're going to
It's
have to
they have to
completely take it down to the mainspring and check that and
everything.
take everything apart and
Yeah.
re-oil it and
Yep.
repair any
Yeah.
rust or corrosion.
Yeah, and then the other two are just getting a service. So he was like, because I'm sending the one in, he's like, I might as well get these other two service because I've had them for like 5 years. And I was like, all right, that's fine. He's still got really cool collection that we can see, but when he mentioned the water damage, I was like, oof,
Yeah, that's rough. You got to do like what Connor says on TikTok. You got to keep your crowns tight.
keep your crowns tight for sure. I like Connor a lot, man. He's really funny.
He is. I had him on the podcast a couple months ago. He's a good guy.
Did you?
Yeah.
I want to watch that. I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
It's so hard for
I'll
me to
send you a
keep up
link
on
to
that
that one
stuff.
after. Yeah, it was a good
Yeah,
one. He's a really fun guy.
he is. He's hilarious. He made his humor and like his sense of humor is just it's very my style.
Yeah,
He'll catch you with like a quick little comment like under his breath that'll make you laugh.
yeah.
He's just a funny guy.
You know,
But he's
I think
also got interesting content. I like what
he
he
does, and he
talks
also
about.
has an interesting perspective working at
Yeah.
a retail jeweler,
Yeah.
where he doesn't have control over what they have, but he gets to see a pretty good mix of kind of our level watches. He's not out there selling
Right.
super high end stuff that
Right.
is we'll never get to be able to afford.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, he's a good guy. I like the whole community right now. They're
Yeah,
all
I
pretty
think so
great.
too. I think John has done a really good job with his weekly lives of bringing in
Yeah.
a bunch of people. A lot of fun banter with Connor and Mr. B and bunch of great guys.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, Mr. B's great. I like everybody over there. It's tough and it gets a little bit nerve-wracking when a community starts to build and like you get like the group chats and all of that stuff and I'm like, man, I hope everybody gets along,
Yeah,
right?
it seems to be going well
They're
so
all
far,
just,
and
all of them are so supportive of each other and like newcomers and stuff like that because now we're seeing some more people are making accounts and stuff like that and I never wanted to see like people get competitive.
yeah,
I don't like that. And
no,
like I've been guilty of it in the past in other aspects of my life and other arenas and I try to eliminate that or try to recognize it if I start to get like that because I don't ever want to be that way because like at the end of the day this is for everybody and everybody has the ability to make content about whatever they want and we should just be you know, helping people and nurturing that. I saw one guy, he started an account like 3 days ago, and he was like, I was thinking I wasn't going to get any views. He put like 3 videos up, and each one of them capped out in the first day with like 2 or 3 thousand views apiece. And it's just because he immediately started talking about watches in the beginning of the videos, and right now that community is like hot. Like the
yeah, it
TikTok
is.
community is actually like it's blowing up right now.
Yeah,
And I've already been told that like sales are actually going up on all these different websites and these stores are all of a sudden seeing a spike. And it's not just like people our age, it's a lot of younger people and it's guys and gals alike also, which I really like the amount of ladies that are all of a sudden getting into watches in the way that like dudes nerd out on watches is so much fun because and it makes me happy because I think they like sometimes it's hard to have one of these hobbies have like crossovers between people like books are great because like we always have like a wide audience of people that are all into books and there's a lot of people that can talk about it but for the longest time like I felt like it was just a bunch of dudes that were talking about watches.
yeah, and when I first found WatchTok, got probably a couple 2 3 years ago, it was and there's not that I didn't like the content, but it did get a little stale. But like you know the negotiations in the Diamond District, like a lot of those felt fake. And it was
I hate them.
always, I mean, it was a whole bunch of watches that were unobtainable to most people. It wasn't relatable. It was all about the business side of things. It was just fast flips, making money, wheeling and dealing, and it's like that's not really the love of the game. That's making money, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that most people aren't gonna drop $10,000 to $15,000 on a watch right now. And a
No.
lot of people are getting into watches. And I can say, even I have a 16-year-old daughter, and her generation, they are very much yearning for the stuff that we're nostalgic about. Like, she got so excited because she got a CD player for Christmas, and I thrifted some CDs for her, and she
Love
thinks it's the
that.
coolest thing. And she's not the only one. Like, I would say late teenagers and people in their 20s, like, they're
Yeah.
really all about like Y2K stuff, late '90s stuff. And I have to say, it's like I had a guest on the podcast once, and she is a reptile keeper, which is something else I'm into. I have a couple of snakes, and she's also a vet tech. And she posted an old picture the other day of her holding a bald eagle when she used to work with wild animals. And I noticed that she had a Casio on, and I was like, this is a super sick post. But as a watch geek, I did zoom in on the wrist, and she's like, you know what? I didn't realize until you said that I miss wearing a real watch instead of my Apple Watch. And I was like, hey, Casios are still cheap. You could grab
Yeah.
another one. It's a lot of fun. Like
Yeah.
get back
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, more and more people are ditching their smartwatches, and I think that's a good thing because it's making conversations better in public.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree.
I
I
try
think
not to be the old fart that like is always harping on that, but they do take people out of like reality and conversations in everyday life like all the time.
yeah, I think a lot of people at first thought that they were slick in checking their watch instead of their phone, but it's just become another screen that you put between you and the person that you're talking to.
Yep,
You
and
know, it's
I
doing this to check the time real quick. You don't even have to put it in front of your face. But when people are reading a message, it's like you end up seeing this,
yeah, the
right in front of
conversation's
you.
also done between you and that person for a
Yep.
moment. Like it's on pause because they have to read their message. If I check my watch to check to check the time, I'm still engaged.
Right. Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. And I think that I'm not a super nostalgic person, but there's something really cool about an actual mechanical watch. It's a technology that's existed somehow miraculously for hundreds of years. When you go back and look at old pocket watches, it's amazing that they were able to make them. And they're using the same technology now. They're just obviously way better at it, but like it's essentially the same thing as someone from the 1800s with their pocket watch. Which actually brings up a fun fact I wanted to tell you. I saw this show the other day and they were just giving like weird historical facts. Did you know that the term con man started in the 1800s in New York and it was based around pocket watches?
No.
It started as a term for confidence man, where these guys had a scam going where they would go up to wealthy people in Manhattan, and having a pocket watch was a huge status symbol. You didn't want to be seen in public without one if you were at that, social status. And they would dress nice and they would go up and they would pretend to know someone and be like, "Oh, I seem to have forgotten my pocket watch at home. Could I please borrow yours and I'll return it tomorrow?" And they would act like they were chums, and the people would they would be too shy to like call the person out because they're being hoity-toity and they didn't want to look cheap, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, sure sir," and they would lend them the watch, and then they would never see it again. And that's where the term con man allegedly came from.
That's cool. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
I didn't
Okay.
either. I was like, wait, watches? That ears perked up as it was just on the TV for background noise. And it
Yeah,
was
that's
like, yeah,
very cool.
it started as confidence man, and it was all this whole big scam around pocket watches.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've been looking at pocket watches a lot.
I actually, my grandfather passed away a couple years ago, and the family finally sorted through a bunch of his stuff, and they all know that I'm into watches. And I got a single picture of several old watches, two pocket watches. I don't know anything about them. I'm going to get them at some point soon.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
real excited to take a look at them. I don't think any of them are in working condition, but that's going to be a project of mine, is trying to get them to work
Okay.
over time.
Nice. Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited
Yeah.
about it. There's like a Timex Easy Reader. That was what he was wearing every day
Well, yeah, I know that
at the end
watch.
of his life. It's a gold Timex Easy Reader. So I'll
Yeah.
just pop a battery in that, and that'll be set. But there's a couple of his old ones that they found digging through all his stuff when they finally emptied his house out.
Yeah, that's
And
super cool.
yeah, pocket watches are real cool. I saw a brand the other day. I should have written down the name, and they take old pocket watch movements and convert them into wristwatches.
Yeah, there's a few people out there that are doing that and they do it really well too. There's a guy that sells his right on Islander.
They're pricey, but they're
Yeah.
nice.
The guy that sells his on Islander, I think they're right around like 1200 and they're really really well executed.
Yeah, they're really cool looking. I think that pocket watches in particular are such a cool way of just kind of thinking about the history and looking back and trying to trace who might have had it and think about where it's been, and
Yeah.
because they've existed for so long.
Yeah, that's why I one of my favorite videos that I did as far as like rating collections was that guy Brush with Style, who's the old-fashioned gentleman that has all the antiques.
Yeah.
He had like all these cool pocket watches, and like he's telling us how they wore the one that was the coolest was the one that had a clip that goes on like your lapel and sits in your top pocket here. And I was
Hmm.
like, man,
Yeah, and
that's
it's interesting to think that back then, and when wristwatches first came about, they were considered very feminine. And like you just mentioned a minute ago, that it used to just be guys that were into watches, and now, you know, more people and women are getting into them. But it's yeah, wristwatches used to 100 years ago even they were just kind of becoming more masculine.
yeah, absolutely. But isn't it kind of funny too now that I mean, the more and more I talk to ladies, most of them want to wear guys' watches now.
Yeah, and I think it can kind of it can look really cool too. There's a
I think it looks better.
yeah, there's a woman on Book Talk. Her name is Dee, and she had a nice dive watch on, and I commented on it once, and um, it was her dad's Breitling, and
I
it's
think I know who you're
oversized,
talking about. I've
and
seen her.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it looks awesome.
yeah. I think I follow her from my Andy's library.
Yeah, you probably do.
Yeah, yeah.
She's got a decent size account.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's so interesting the way trends go too. Is that for so long, smaller watches were considered feminine too, and I think it's starting to make a little bit of a comeback. I think vintage becoming more popular is helping with that, because the reality is that all of our grandfathers wore like 34 millimeter watches, and
Or 32 even.
they didn't even have a second thought about it being too
Yep.
small.
Yep. It's all
I think
perspective,
like
man.
I have like a 7.25 inch wrist. I have decent size wrists, and I think that anything over maybe 42 is getting way too big. I think that for me,
Yeah.
like the sweet spot would be like 37 to 40. But I would gladly wear. Actually, I have a vintage Omega that I think is 35.
Yeah, I like anything from 34 to 39 millimeters
Yeah,
on me, and I feel like I could wear a 32 and I'd be happy. Because I put a 34 millimeter Rolex Air King on, and I was like, this is perfect. Like, literally, I was like, this is perfect for me. I don't want 2 more millimeters actually. Like I liked the 34 because prior to that, I owned a 36 millimeter date just for almost a year. And when I first got that watch, I had been wearing 40 millimeter watches or even bigger than that for a bit, but I had just gotten into watches and the 36 felt tiny to me. And I really wasn't into that watch and I ended up selling it. But now that I've been collecting for a while and I know what looks better on my wrist, I'm starting to realize that I should have never got rid of that Rolex because now I probably really enjoy that, especially on like a leather strap. But yeah, 34 millimeter, that's perfect for me. 36 is like really, really good for if I wanted a sport watch now, I want 36 to 38. And if I want a dress watch, like the perfect dress watch for me is 34 to 36.
yeah. That's why I have the Orient Bambino small seconds, and I love it. But I do actually wish it was a little bit smaller.
Yeah, that one is their best though, in my opinion. The small seconds one, that with that little sub dial,
Yep,
they executed that perfectly.
they really did. That's one of my favorite styles.
Yeah.
It's a throwback to.
Yeah.
I mean, some people may not know this, but originally all watches were like that in terms of wristwatches, because they didn't have it down yet to have the second hand on top. They needed the second hand to be separate with the smaller movements for
Yep.
wristwatches. But
Yeah, that
like
that it's so clean too, like it looks like $1,000 watch.
yeah, it really I get compliments on that probably more than any other watch I own, and I got it on sale for I think like around $200. But I think the Rolex Explorer is a lot of people's kind of dream watch. It's a very versatile watch. You can dress it up, dress it down, and I think, and I always have, I think it looks better in the 36 millimeter. I think that the proportions are just better. The 40 millimeter one is just like, even on a bigger wrist, it just doesn't quite look right because it was 36 millimeters for so long that, like, in my head, that's what I picture. That's what
The
it
dial
always.
layout doesn't work as well with the 40 millimeter either, and everybody agrees it
It
just
just
doesn't
spreads
look
it
as
out too
good.
much.
Um, that's that's the that's the probably the biggest watch I want to get this year, like as far as purchases, but that's going to take a while. I want to get an Explorer 36 millimeter. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I do want to. The thing is I'm not willing to overpay and play that game.
Yeah,
So if I find one for a good price, I'll jump on it, right? So I'll be keeping my eye out. I'll be searching. But at the same time, that's the only watch I'd be willing to do like the whole AD thing
right.
for. Like I would go through an AD if I could get my hands on an Explorer. So I might do that, like
Yeah, that
try
it's
and do
just
the whole get the call thing, but
it's
that
the
feels
ADs do
gross.
make it tough nowadays too because I know some people don't agree with me when I say this, but like, Rolex has become very good at branding. They are luxury, but they're not ultra luxury. They make a million watches a year. There's no actual shortage. It's all make believe, and they do that to add to the prestige. And I understand from a business perspective why they do that, but it's like, at the same time, they're not handmade. They are. There's a lot of them every year. There's another million, and um, playing that whole game to get something that's mass produced does feel like a little bit frustrating, and I can understand why some people won't do it.
I mean, that's why, like, I always tell people, like, I have a friend that I was texting with about an hour ago, right before we did this. And I was sending him some cool options that I've been seeing on pre-owned sites because he's in the market for a new watch. He currently wears a 36 millimeter Datejust, blue dial. It's really nice. I helped source it for him 5 years ago. I got it for him. I found that watch for him for 5,500 bucks.
That's a good deal.
It's a good deal. It was in great shape. I found it on Delray Watch Forum. So he got that through Delray. He's loved it, but now he wants another watch. And it's funny, he started to act like he would entertain another brand. And when I started showing him other brands, he was like ecstatic about the designs, all of that. The price was right for him. He was like, "Oh my God, this is awesome." And I was telling him, showing him what the retail price of some of them was. And the moment that I told him, because he asked, he was like, "So what's the resale value on this?" And I had showed him like a really nice Omega, and I go, "Well, not great, man, but like you're seeing it for pre-owned." And he was like, "So what you're saying is if I bought that, I wouldn't be able to make money on it later?" And I go, "Probably not, man. Are you looking for a nice watch or are you looking for an investment? Like, what are we talking about here?"
Yeah, yeah, and it's
Because
just
it then he basically just flipped it all and he was like, "I don't know, man, just find me a new Rolex." And I go, "You should have just told me that."
yeah, yeah.
Like,
And
don't
that
tell me you want a new watch and have me like looking all over for some cool options for you because I know this guy very well. I've known him for 35 years. And it's like, dude, I know you. Like, I know what you need too. He needs a good, like, everyday gotta watch again, something with good water resistance that can take a little bit of a beating. He's a dad. He's got a young kid who's pretty wild right now because he's at that age. And it's like a Rolex would be great for him, but so would an Omega or a
yeah,
Zen. Like
yeah,
I told him, I go, dude, if you want a really good beater and you're willing to spend 5,000, like I can get you the most maxed out tool watch for $5,000 from Zen.
yeah. They make fantastic watches.
And I mean, spec out of like the specs will blow your mind and will destroy the competition, but it's not going to win a fashion contest and it's not going to be recognizable in the way that a Rolex is. And as soon as you
Yeah,
tell this guy something like that, he's not going to want it anymore. And I'm like, I'm not
yeah,
talking to the watch guy. I got to remember this is my friend who is not a watch collector.
right.
So,
And there are a lot of people that aren't watch people, but like, especially if they work in finance, it's like they have to get a Submariner. It's just like it's the a step in their career, if you will. And it's like, I get it, and it's cool for Rolex that exists, but um, I think a lot of people who aren't watch people think that they're like the peak of luxury, and it's like they're kind of just knocking at the door of what luxury is.
Yep,
You know,
100%.
they're not gonna be like a Vacheron even, or certainly not a Patek, and I just don't think that people fully understand the the size of the jump between like a Patek and a Rolex
Oh
in
yeah, those
terms of
finance
like
bros at the end of the day bought a really, really expensive, but also really, really well-made tool watch.
yeah. And that's another thing is that, 30, 40 years ago, they were still just a tool watch. They were the best tool watch, but that's what they were. It's like that's why there's so many Rolexes that exist from the 70s of guys who got them over in Asia when they were in Vietnam, and they would get them when they were on leave, and it's like they were a few $100 back then, which was a lot of money for the 70s, but it wasn't the equivalent of like 12 grand today.
No, yeah, that it's crazy. And yeah, it's one of those things that it's almost funny to think that like because most people think that Rolex has always had the reputation that they have right now, and it's not the case.
Yeah,
Like
it's
even in the early 80s, they didn't have that reputation. They didn't
no,
start
and
to really get that reputation until the mid 80s and then the late 80s and then the 90s were when it was like insanely hot for them, and then after that just kept kind of going up. You see them everywhere. I
yeah,
mean, 90s hip hop.
yeah, yeah. And I would argue that Rolex, then followed by Omega, have done the best job over the last few decades in terms of marketing.
Absolutely.
They
Hmm.
have really inserted themselves in all of the correct places
Yeah.
to build their brand more than even their product. Like their products have improved, but not as much as their brand recognition and the level that's associated with that name.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would say when it comes to recognizable brands by the masses, those are the top dogs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Well,
definitely
then
those. I
Seiko is
think,
up there too.
yeah, they're getting
Rolex,
there.
Omega, and Seiko are probably and Citizen are like in that top five. I don't know what the fifth one would be. Maybe like Fossil.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, let's
that's
just be
probably true.
real. I know they're
Yeah,
not in the same arena. I mean, they're a watch brand, but like if you were to walk up to somebody and be like, name five watch brands right now.
yeah. What I do think is pretty cool is I think that social media is having an effect on sales, like you mentioned, much in the way that Book Talk has helped book sales.
Oh
But I
yeah,
think it's
dude.
cool to see Fossil is making an automatic watch again. Movado is making automatic watches again. Casio made their first automatic watch, where everything was just going towards cheap quartz movements for a long time,
Yeah.
and now we're kind of getting a resurgence of the mechanical watch.
Yep. Yeah, I'm enjoying watching it. And yeah, you're definitely right about book sales. I mean, I like to look at those kind of stats, and TikTok literally like saved a few authors.
Yeah, and it probably saved Barnes and Noble. For years, they were closing multiple locations a year, and then I think I read in 2026 they're opening 60 new stores nationwide.
I love that. Well, and
That's
the thing is
pretty
it,
significant.
people don't want the electronic version that much. Like I understand there are still people that love Kindles and all of that. My mom likes hers a lot. I will never be one of those people, and I'm not trying to sound elitist or anything like that, but I like to have the book. I like to put it on my shelf as a reminder that I read it because
Yeah,
I have I have one shelf that's TBR, and then all the other shelves, if the book is on any of those shelves, it's been read. So I like to look at those shelves and go, that's what I've completed.
yeah,
And then my TBR shelf is like perfect because it's a small three-tier shelf that holds like five or six books per tier, and like that's just like okay, I'm looking at it right now and I'm going okay, that's what you have to work on, which I
yeah,
got. Yeah, right now my TBR has 21 books.
yeah. And I just prefer reading a physical page. Like
What?
I think I can actually read faster on the Kindle, but I prefer having um in hand. I like the feel of a book.
Uh,
I like the way books smell.
go
Like a
on.
brand new book, and
I
like it
tried
adds to the
Kindle.
whole
It takes me
experience.
longer.
Yeah,
Takes me longer to get through a Kindle book.
yeah. I'm actually a little faster on a Kindle, but I don't like it as much. Like my eyes don't enjoy it as much. The only time it's useful is if I want to read in the dark and I can have it just slightly backlit. And it's
Oh
like
yeah.
it's good for that. It's good for on an airplane, but I have one and I don't use it all that much.
I only use mine when the audiobook version is not something I can listen to because I don't like the voice actors or whoever they chose. And like only have a hardcover version because that's the one thing is I can sit down and read hardcovers, but I really don't like to.
No, I don't either, especially if I'm like not at home.
Yep.
Like
It's
trying
just
to
like I like to be comfortable wherever I am reading the book, and I can't get comfy and snuggle up with a hardcover. And I don't like ruining them either. I like to
yeah.
make them look perfect. So when I buy a hardcover, it's almost like, okay, well, that's decoration.
Yeah, it's a shelf trophy.
Exactly. Like when Onyx Storm came out, I bought like the special edition hardcover because I wanted it. And but then like getting a paperback for me to actually physically read became difficult. And I was like, well, shit, what do I do? And I was like, oh, I can just get it on Kindle so I don't ruin my book. And that's what I
Yeah.
literally did with the last book that I just finished like 2 weeks ago because it's like a newer one. um I only had access to the hardcover. So and like the hardcover is I actually have it right here. I just love the look of it and I was like, I don't want to fuck this up. Did I tell you about how much I like these so far?
Yeah, you did mention that. A couple people I know have gotten into that recently, and I've
Oh my
always heard it
god.
was really good. And I think I'm gonna have to add that to my TBR this year because
Dude, I
everybody
want to
loves it.
live in these. Like these are incredible, but like this one right here, I didn't want to damage it. And I was like, well, shit. So I got it on Kindle and I read it on a Kindle. But it takes me longer, and that's why I don't like to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I could recommend anything to you, like Empire of the Damned, bro. Holy shit.
Yeah, I heard about that a couple years ago originally from a podcast called Book Reviews Kill, and I meant to pick it up years ago, and then you know how Book Talk is there's so many recommendations. It's like you
Yeah,
grab one and forget about five that you wanted to read.
yeah. Well, I'll remind you because I think you really like it. It has like I like to paint the picture in my head, and I the visuals that I get is basically like I feel like I'm in like a Bloodborne style realm. If you've ever played the game Bloodborne,
Yeah.
like it almost feels Lovecraftian at times, but like this is vampires. It's like super dark and sexy and crazy in all the best ways. And then like it has Lovecraftian undertones for sure. Like the pictures that are always painted in my head are super vivid and dark and like I want this to come to life on screen, but at the same time I would hate for them to fucking ruin it.
Yeah, I always worry about stuff like that. Is as much as it's fun to like dream about book to screen adaptations, when I'm honest with myself at how many are actually like really good, it's a pretty small percentage. That's why I'm really curious what's going to come about with Apple TV buying the entire Cosmere from Brandon Sanderson. I don't know if you heard
Well,
about that,
I
but
yeah, but well,
he
and the
has
thing is you
he
know that
has
I
full
just got
creative
into
control.
Sanderson.
Yeah, but that's the key is that he managed to get himself like the last say with full creative control. Like that gives me
That's
hope.
important.
And then also I started to watch Foundation on Apple TV, which is based off Isaac Asimov.
Yeah, that's it. It showed up on my feed.
And I only watched a couple episodes so far, but really well done.
Okay.
And then also, I haven't read the book yet, so I'm waiting to watch it. But I know people love it. Is Silo, which is another one that I've heard Apple did a really, really
I've
fantastic
heard it's
job
really
with.
good too, but I still haven't. I started it and I was like, this is weird and crazy, and then I never like followed through because I didn't I forget what I got distracted by. I don't remember, but yeah, there's a lot of I want to see like after reading Iron Flame, essentially, I was like, dude, I would love to see this in a series, like the whole Fourth
Yeah,
Wing.
that's one I think that they could do
If
in
they
film
could do a
well.
series of that, I would fucking love it, dude.
I also think that, like, I think Mistborn in particular, the original, the first trilogy, the
When I
Generation One, I think that that would be super cool animated because the way
Okay,
the
well,
magic
thank
system
you for
works.
saying that because like I would like to see that too, but I think it could be pulled off better if they did it animated or CG, and I know some people hate to hear that, but for Mistborn, yeah, it would
But
be
I,
cooler if they did it animated because they could really capture it better.
yeah, because the way the magic system works and
Right.
it like it would just look too cheesy with real people and then the CGI. But if you did it
Yeah.
all animated,
Yeah.
I think that they could nail that. And I feel like some people look down on animated, like it's not as good of an adaptation. And it's like I think it could be so cool. Animated movies are tons of fun.
It depends. I think it really depends. When they did that animated Predator, it was like Anime
I don't think
Predator
I
that
ever
came
saw
out
that.
last, fucking mind blowing. Loved it. And then like I'm not big into anime, but then like my brother tossed me like a few gems, and like if I watch the right anime, I get way into it, and I know that there's no way that they could do any type of other adaptation but animated to give it that effect. The
Yeah.
effect that it has on me. Do you know what I mean? I watched Berserk, and that one like really fucked me up.
Have you
I
seen
loved it.
Arcane on Netflix?
Yeah.
If they did kind of that style of animation for Mistborn, I think it could be so
Okay, yeah.
sick.
Yeah, that would be very cool. That
Because
you're right.
that's a little steampunky, where
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
it's got like Mistborn's not exactly steampunk yet. I think Era 2 gets into the steampunk kind of stuff. But like the magic system kind of would play along with the same design elements. I think that that
Yeah.
could be really fun.
I can't wait to start what I'm actually about to start.
What's that?
I,
What are
I
you
want
reading
to get into
next?
more Sanderson, but I'm going back to Joe Abercrombie.
Yeah, that's another one I need to get more of his read this year too. I
Yeah,
have
so
the
I
whole
mean
First Law trilogy. I've only read the first book.
the first law I loved it, right? And
It
I
was
got
real
into
good.
that when it was pretty new. And I want to reread it soon, but I was like, "Hey, you haven't read everything by him. Like I call him my favorite author, but like I haven't read all of his work. Is he?" But like I'm one of those people that sometimes needs like I get distracted and I'll take like 6 months where I don't read anything, and then all of a sudden I'll get back into reading, and then like you can't talk to me for 6 months because I'm
Yeah.
buried in books. So I've had these for a while, and I've wanted to try them, and it's Age of Madness. It came out after.
Oh yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah. So I have all three of these, and this is the first one, A Little Hatred, and I'm gonna start this literally tonight. So after I get done with everything that I have to do, because I have a bunch of other stuff I got to do today, this is getting started, and I'm gonna put a big fat dent in it. And my best friend already read through this, and he was like, "You're gonna shit a brick when you get into this." He said it's very fucking crazy.
Yeah, he does Grimdark probably better than anyone else I've read. He's real good at it. That
Anthony
this
Ryan
year,
and him.
yeah, this year I want to make a big dent in these. I have a whole bunch more Robin Hobb that I want to read.
Okay,
Um, I'm similar where it's like I say she's one of my favorites, but the Realm of the Elderlings is like 16, 17 books, and I'm nowhere near complete. So it's like,
that's
but
crazy.
it's kind of a series where it's like if I could read a trilogy from the series every year, because I think it's like four trilogies and then one series is four books. I think that's how it plays
Okay.
out. But it's like if I could read a trilogy a year and spread this out, like it's so good that I don't want to rush through it. Like I don't
Yeah.
want it to be over.
Books.
It is.
Damn.
It is. I love a long series like that
I
though.
want to. Yeah. I mean, I want to get into something that like will take me like 2 years, but it's like I have to pick something really good.
I mean Abercrombie's got enough going that it could take you a couple years.
Yeah, I want to get into those Gwyn books too.
Yeah, I've read the first book in the Faithful of the Fallen, which is
Okay.
Malice, which I loved, and then I
Yeah, I heard
started this
Malice is
year.
nuts.
It's the way that that dude can write battles, like we're talking multiple armies fighting at once, and the level of detail is like you literally feel like you're right in the middle of it.
Okay,
And then
I'm
I
gonna have to
read
check them out then.
the Shadow of the Gods I read last month, and it's the same thing as like I think the largest scale in that one is like there's like 40 guys versus 20 guys. So it's smaller scale. It's not like full armies, and
Yeah,
most of the fighting is like 2 on 6 or like much more up close and personal. But again, the way he writes it is like every move you can picture the way that they're moving, and like it's so believable, and like you literally feel like you're right in the action of all of the battle scenes.
I like that. See, that's why I like Abercrombie because his fight scenes, especially, they're wild. You feel like you're right there, and they are like gritty
Yeah,
and crazy.
yeah. John Gwynn, he does it probably the best I've ever read. He's
Awesome.
really good, and
Malice is on my shelf.
I think I preferred Malice, if I'm honest. I think overall most people like the Shadow of the Gods better,
Okay.
but I really liked the scale of
Okay.
Malice. Is it's like there's a lot more of the world involved with what's going on.
Maybe I'll try more John Gwynn after. Or I'll get into John Gwynn after I do Abercrombie.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy too. I've seen a bunch of interviews with him.
Yeah.
I mean, and he looks the part. He writes basically like the Shadow of the Gods is based on Viking culture, and it's like
Okay.
he's got this big gray beard. He wears chainmail at Ren fairs and stuff. Like
Oh, nice.
he's
Okay.
that guy.
That's
He
cool.
fits in perfectly.
Yeah, I'm looking at my shelf. I gotta put it in order. I'm gonna put Malice up at the top, reminding me.
Yeah, it's a really good one. I'd like to finish that series this year. It's 4 books, so I have 3 more to go there.
What was your favorite read of 2025?
Well, that was a book called Stoner by John Williams, and it's not my new usual genre at all. Like I guess it would be considered kind of like lit fic, historical fiction, and it's basically just like when I tell people it's a book about nothing but also everything at the same time. And you follow the main character from when he's 18 until he's an old man. You go through his entire life. And
Oh, I love that.
he has kind of a very like in many ways disappointing life, and he makes a lot of mistakes and a lot of bad choices, but it's like it really makes you kind of face being comfortable with the mundane aspects of life and maybe not turning out as great as you once thought you would be.
Okay.
But it's the way that it's done is just it's such a beautiful story. But it's like basically he's from rural Missouri at the end of the 1800s, and he grew up on a farm with just him and his parents. His dad sends him to the University of Missouri to study agriculture to try and improve their farm and their station in life. And he gets there and he struggles with an intro to English course, and he ends up falling in love with literature and drops out of the agricultural program without telling his dad. Ends up getting an English degree, and then stays at the school to get his master's. Then becomes a professor, lives on
Oh, cool.
campus, and like his whole life becomes about just being a professor. And is like he's not an exceptional professor, but he loves it. He gets married, has a kid, makes mistakes there as well, and it's like, I mean, you literally follow him to his last breath. So it's like you get to experience his whole
Hmm.
life. It's a
That
really cool
sounds neat.
book.
I might have to check that out.
And then for fantasy, which is my more normal genre, I think one of my favorite reads last year was actually Angie Kills a King by Evan Lycom.
Yeah, I saw
Um,
you. Didn't you do a video on that?
yeah, that was a
Yeah, yeah.
really, really cool book. I've been following Evan for years. He has a podcast, and he had a pretty big book talk account at one point. He hasn't posted as much anymore because he's a full time writer now. But
Okay.
he's just a super cool guy, and I think that he weaved in some more modern issues that I've never really seen tackled in fantasy before, like addiction. Like there's to get some of the magical powers within his universe, like you actually have to take this substance, and over time it kills you. So it's
Okay.
like this trade off of like, do you want
Yeah.
powers? It's gonna cut your life short though, and you're gonna end up taking it more and more because it's addictive as well.
Hmm.
And then also like
Yeah.
some societal observations with like the ruling class is disproportionately wealthy and really screwing over the working class, if you will. So it's like kind of some modern elements mixed into a fantasy world that I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I might have to check that out too. I get a lot of my recommendations from you and Jenny.
It's like it's only like 370 pages too, which is quick for fantasy.
That is super fast. Yeah, I don't know what my favorite fantasy book of 2025 was. Probably Iron Flame.
Yeah, I haven't gone to that one yet. I read
And I
Fourth
can't
Wing in 2024, and I got to get back to that series too.
I can't believe that it was that one, but I really and like that's not my style. But I didn't read a lot of fantasy in 2025.
I realized I didn't either. I read a lot of historical fiction, which I found out is one of my favorites, and I read a good amount of romance, and I read a lot of horror too, which was a lot of
So
fun.
did I. I read more horror than anything else. I mean, well, I did read a lot of fantasy, but not the same kind of fantasy that I typically do. Like, okay, like Her Soul to Take, that's a witchcraft slash horror slash fantasy slash romance. That's the best way I can categorize that.
Yeah,
And
that sounds cool.
then Light Lark, that is fantasy for sure, but it's romantasy, kind of like lighthearted, very whimsical, right?
Yeah,
Then and like I'm used to grimdark fantasy, and I barely even touched any of that. Mistborn, I started. I need to get more into Mistborn because I only did the first book.
yeah. I need to read Error too. I finally have all
Okay.
three. So
In Mistborn, I knew that like I'm gonna become enthralled once I really delve into it, so that's
yeah,
probably gonna be a big chunk of this year. But then when I look at all the other stuff that I read that stayed with me for a lot longer, that I thought about a lot longer, they were all horror books. That Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno might be the best read of 2025 for me, but it's like a close tie with Tender is the Flesh.
Tender in the Flesh is a fantastic book.
Holy shit, it's so good. I mean, it's so fucked up, right? It's so fucked up. The content, like the whole. When I was trying to tell somebody at work like what it was about, they were looking at me and they were like, "You, it was good," and I go, "It was amazing," and they're like, "But that's so fucked up," and I go, "I know, but like, it's creative and like the way that it was written was amazing. It really puts you in there. Does that like to the audience that sees this, if you're thinking about reading it,
Yeah,
it
you
paints
know
a
what?
picture for you.
You know what horror book I really enjoyed last year was oh, what's it called? It's by Gabino Iglesias. House of Bone and Rain. It was a
That one's been talked about on Goodreads. I didn't read it though.
That one was really cool. It takes place during the hurricane that devastated Puerto Rico, and it takes place in Puerto Rico. And it's this weird combination of like there's this lore in Puerto Rico of creatures that come out during bad storms like that. They're believed to come from like the mountains, and that's why you're not supposed to be out during the storms. But
That's
then
already spooky to me.
there's also this element of revenge where this guy's mother gets shot in a drive by. She's the bouncer at a club, and this guy has three lifelong friends, and no matter what, they have each other's back, and they're like, we don't care who did this, we're gonna kill them, we're gonna get them back. And it turns out to be like one of the biggest, like drug kingpins. So you
You
have this element of like there's kind of like like a street gang war going on, but then there's also a hurricane happening, and there's like these supernatural elements that get involved that like are really weird and creepy, and it all mixes together in this really cool way.
you're the second person to describe this book, so now I need to add it. What's it called again?
It's called House of Bone and Rain, I believe.
So people were talking about it on Goodreads and on TikTok, but like you're second person to kind of like really say like this is a crazy story.
It is. It's
Um,
so wild. And he very accurately portrays, some of the massive mishandlings by the U.S. government in terms of hurricanes in Puerto Rico.
yeah, I'm just gonna get it right now. It's only what, $15.
Yeah, it's a really cool book.
I like the cover
Yeah, the cover's
with the
sick.
green and the purple.
Yep.
Is that the one you have? Yeah, that's a fucking cool cover. It's spooky but beautiful, you know?
Yeah, and it's all based on real lore on the island, and it's also like it's handling some very real issues that
Oh
exist there.
shit. I'm gonna definitely check that out. Yeah, for some reason horror was really hitting this year.
I
What was
think
the other
horror's in
one
a
that I
good
think
place right now.
I think you read it also. Didn't you read The Only Good Indians?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't love the ending of that one because I think like that one basketball part I think dragged on a little too long towards the end. I get
And
what they were going
I
for.
did
Like I get
too.
the
I
metaphor.
was when I was in that moment, I was like, can we get through this?
Yeah, but like the overall story, I really liked the first half where we were just focused on the first guy,
Yeah,
and
that
then it
that
felt
book
like
it took me
once
through
it
a lot of
branched out to the other
emotions.
three, like I feel like we didn't get enough time with each character. Where I was like, I need a little bit more here because we really got to
Yeah.
know that first guy. But like that was really cool concept.
It was crazy. When I was in that, I was really getting into some weird feelings when I was going through that book. But I think that's why the horror books that I read this year had a bigger effect on me because I wasn't reading stuff that was just trying to scare you to be scary.
Right? Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I
Like
think a
this
lot
thing
of the
between
the
us
current
is
horror is like real issues with like a little bit of like supernatural lore mixed in, which
yeah,
makes it
like
like way more relatable. It's not just a ghost. Like
yeah,
there's
this
other
thing between us is like a whole play on real grief.
yeah.
The
Yeah,
entire
and there's
story
layers
is
to it.
it's like it has you crying,
Yeah.
but you're also there are moments where you're fucking terrified. Like it's a very weird dynamic to have in a book, but Tender as the Flesh had me in like weird emotions. Only Good Indians had me in very weird emotions where I got like triggered at times. Um, and normally I don't go through that with like a lot of the horror books that I grew up on.
Yeah, I
Stephen
think
King can do that to you though. There are
yeah,
times
I
where
think
Stephen King has
Pet
told stories.
Cemetery, Pet Cemetery,
Right,
especially as a parent. Like I don't know
right.
if I read that before I had kids. I like I because I didn't. I read that I don't know 4 or 5 years ago. Um, and I'm like I wonder like if it would have hit me as hard because I was like as I was reading that I was like holy shit this is like one of the best examples of like parental grief that I've ever seen. Like,
It's a fucked up
and I
book,
I
dude.
really I think people who don't enjoy horror don't give it enough credit for how human it is. It tackles really like because ultimately that's what being afraid is. It's like that's one of the most human, emotions that everyone in the world has experienced. There's people out there that maybe haven't experienced a super deep romantic love, but everyone's been afraid. And I don't think horror gets enough credit for how human they are, how real they are. And it's like
Yeah.
yeah, like horror can also be slashers from the '80s, which are just kind of silly and fun and um, violent for the sake of violence. But especially a lot of modern horror books is like there's a lot of deeper thinking going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to probably try some more.
Yeah,
Just to,
there's a lot of good stuff out there.
yeah. I gotta add to my TBR. I keep looking over there because I'm realizing like a lot of those are from you and Jenny specifically. So
I
it's
mean,
just
that's
I'll
it's awesome
creep
to hear though.
in.
One of my favorite things is when someone reads a book that I enjoyed and they read it because I enjoyed it and they're like, "Oh, I loved it." I'm like, "Hell yeah!" I like
Yeah. Oh,
see.
I
It
like to
feels like
pop
such a
into
win when
Jenny's
you can.
lives at night when she's live, I'm at work.
Yeah,
So I'll jump in and even if I can't be right next to the live, like I'll be working and I'll hear it and I'll just be like, "Oh, well, fuck, I'll write that one down. I'll check it out." I got to start going and thrifting books though because I'm tired of spending money at Barnes
thrifting.
and
I like
Noble.
thrifting. I don't do it a ton, but it's fun because you don't. know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Where it's like I found a whole set of matching Aragon books, and it's like I wasn't reading back when that came out. I wasn't a reader then, so I missed it. And I'm like, oh, cool! Like here's my chance to have all four books for. I think I got them for $1.50 each.
Yeah, man. Like last time I went to Barnes and Noble, it was like $120.
Yeah, it adds up quick.
I was like, come on, man. Like, I just want some books. Like,
Yeah,
our parents used to have to force us to pick these things up, and now I'm like over here like trying to figure out which book I got to put back because I can't buy all of them, and I'm
yeah.
like, I don't know.
Yeah, I refused to read as a kid. So my mom's always like, never in a million years would I have guessed that this is what you were going to do as an adult. Like, she was like,
Yeah,
she would always complain because we had summer reading every year and we had to do, I think it was like 2 or 3 books and we had to do certain projects with them. And I would wait until the last day of summer and I wouldn't even read the books. I would skim them, I would buy Spark Notes, and I would just BS my way through the projects. And she would fight me all summer, and I just wouldn't read. And then now it's like I read every day at least a little bit.
yeah. I When I was young, I wasn't like an avid reader, but like if you put the right book in front of me, it would start something. Like my dad gave me a copy of The Hobbit when I was like 10.
It's such an underrated book to get people into fantasy. When people ask for beginner fantasy, I bring that one up a lot, and I don't think a lot of people trust me on that because they think of the Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings is way heavier. The Hobbit
Yeah.
was a kid's book. It was
Yeah.
meant
I,
to
I
be like
I
it's
blasted
perfect.
through it and I wanted the next, so he gave me Lord of the Rings when I was like 11. I started reading that.
Yeah, the Lord of the
Um
Rings is it's fantastic too, but it definitely is like it's a much more challenging level of high fantasy. The Hobbit is just like you dip your toes in, you learn about some of the creatures, and it's a lot shorter, and you go on this fairly quick, fun adventure.
yep, I have to reread that one.
Like I think the audiobook for The Hobbit's only like 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah,
Like it's
it's
not a long read.
doesn't take me long to get through the book. That's why I'm realizing right now I need to reread it again.
Yeah, I think it's
But
only
yeah, even
maybe
before that,
300 pages.
I was doing Hardy Boys books.
Yeah, I did read those as a kid. I did like the Hardy Boys when I was probably around 10.
Yeah, I was reading
I
those.
loved trying to solve them, and you know, like most of the time, I would come up with some crazier concept than what it really was. But when you were right, it was just like you're like, hell yeah, like I nailed that. Yeah, they were. I had a bunch of I forget who gave them to me, but they were really old hardcover editions of them that were from like probably the 60s or 70s.
Oh, I'd love to get my hands on some old ass Hardy Boys books.
Yeah, they were cool. A lot
Yeah,
of them, some of them, it was like it was two, and it was like you would read one from the front to about halfway, and then you could flip it over
flip it back. Yep.
and read it the other way
Yeah, I
for the
remember
second
those.
book.
Yep.
Those were pretty cool.
Yeah. I'd love to find my old books.
Well, we've already gone for about an hour here, so we can probably work on wrapping things up. But I did want to ask one thing that I forgot to bring up when we were talking about watches is one of the things that you've been doing that I think the entire watch community has been enjoying is rating people's collections without permission, as you phrase it. Where
Yeah.
did that idea come from? Like what kind of inspired you to want to do that? Because I think you've handled it in a very fun way, where you're never overly critical and you're looking for the good in people's collections. Always, you're not doing it with any malice, despite the the kind of like I'm doing it without permission aspect of it.
So the day that I did that, I was having a bad day, like a really bad day. And I didn't want to make a TikTok video about something negative. And I had started that watch account. It wasn't getting like any traction, but I was like, you know what? Let me post a TikTok on that because like I just want to talk about something that makes me happy.
Right.
And then I opened up the app and I was sitting there and I didn't know what to do. I like didn't know what to do and I was like, well, maybe I'll just go like find somebody's watch collection video and I'll like play off of that, I guess. or maybe I'll get like a few and like and I just kept jumbling ideas in my head. And then finally I found that the very first one that I did, I found that guy's collection video. I was trying to get inspiration, and as I was going through it, I noticed that like all of his watches had cool little stories attached to them, but they were like different price ranges, and it just seemed like this guy had very eclectic taste like myself. And I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm just gonna try something, and like hopefully this dude doesn't get mad at me if he finds it. So I cut the video and I put it up, and like I remember it like immediately started getting a lot of views, and like a few people commented, but the guy, he didn't comment on it for like a few weeks. But
Really?
so yeah, and so many people kept like telling me, they're like, "Can you do that again?" And I was like, "You actually like that?" I go, "I seemed like I was in such a shitty mood." And they go, "Oh, trust me, we could tell. Like you were definitely in a bad mood, but like it was good." So then I kept doing them, and I started to have more fun with it. And people said that they noticed that I started to get a little more upbeat. And I said, "Well, it's because now I'm enjoying this. Like when I first started doing them, it was because I was in a bad mood. I guess it's how it led to it. Like it was like I was searching for something to bust me out of my bad mood that was like a video, because I was always making TikTok videos that were political.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like my hat goes off to anybody that can continue in that arena and constantly keep their mentals in check and do it, but I can't.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that
I
aspect of it
wasn't
is
I
it's
wasn't
like it's
sleeping.
important to talk about, but it's difficult to talk about it every day because it's triggering, it's infuriating, it's
Yeah.
frustrating, and but I
When I
think
was getting
I
so
think
much I was getting so much hatred too.
oh yeah, there's a lot of that coming
Yeah.
from the other side. But I think even with your first one, where even if you were having a bad day, I think my biggest takeaway from all of them has always been that at no point have you really had anything negative to say. You look for the good in everybody's collections, and you kind of tip your hat off to the uniqueness of like everyone has different taste. We all like different things, and I think that like someone like Nico Leonard, I enjoy his content to a point, but a lot of his content is just dunking on famous people's shitty collections, in his opinion,
Well, he
and it's
also
like
dunks on regular people too, and that's when I start to have issue with him.
yeah, but also it's like it's only fun to watch negative because it's essentially negative content. That's only fun every now and then. Like it's fun to have him dunk on someone that has a ton of money but no taste.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
love that. I
we
love
can
when he
get
does
behind
that.
that, but it's like, but also it's like I don't want to watch that every video, and that's what blew him up. And Nico seems like a good guy. Like
Actually, from
I'm
all
not
I've heard, he's terrific. I've talked to multiple people that have met him, and they're like, yeah, he's super friendly, super nice, stand-up guy. So
and he knows his stuff clearly,
yeah, oh yeah,
but it's just like not everything. I don't want it to always be that. And like that's what I've really enjoyed about this series from you is that you're constantly looking for someone that has like eclectic taste and you're looking for the good in their collection even if it's not the choices you would have made. Which
oh, well, I appreciate that.
I think that's really fun and relatable and I think it puts a lot of positivity into the space.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I'm trying my best. It's once I started to notice that I was finding like-minded people in the community that were kind of tired of the negativity, but they were also tired of seeing the same old like watch flipping videos, etc. And I was like, well, I've always wanted this kind of community, because I remember when I first started um like joining groups on Facebook and stuff like that, getting into the watch community 10 years ago, everybody was an elitist.
Yeah. And there is a subset of the watch community that is very much like that where it's
For
just
sure.
like if you're not buying that's why I actually saw a post on Reddit the other day in an affordable watch group and I couldn't have agreed with it more where it said that like sometimes the more expensive a collection gets the more boring it gets because like do you know how many collections there are out there where it's a 3 watch collection and it's a Submariner speed timer and a Cartier Santos medium? And it's like those are great watches, but there are thousands of wealthy dudes that have only those three watches.
It's
And
just
it's
cookie
like
cutter at that point.
it's just it gets
Yeah.
boring.
Yep.
Where it's
That's
like
why
I
that's
think
why
sub
that's
one
actually why I went
thousand,
with this instead of a big brand.
maybe
I
even
was like,
sub.
let
Let's
me
go
get an
like sub
indie.
5,000. Once you get into the micro brands and some of the brands that non-watch people would be less familiar with, like there's so many cool choices out there. There's no reason to get the same as what someone else has, unless you want to. But I mean, like there's so much diversity in this lower, like affordable price point that didn't used to be there because micro brands weren't as prevalent 20 years ago. There's so much cool stuff out there.
Yeah, I'm really into the micro brand thing right now. Um, I do hope it doesn't get oversaturated though.
Yeah, I agree. And then I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. Like I think there's some micro brands that are throwing watches out there that are basically just checking off like an imaginary spec list. And it's like, okay, you have all the right things, but like the design elements are a little off, where
Yeah,
it's like you have the sapphire, you have the good movement, you have the the ceramic bezel, you have all the things, but it's like it kind of felt like you just went down a checklist.
yeah,
So it's like there's obviously it can go both ways, but I think that the affordable watches are more diverse and fun than they've ever been.
yeah. I'm so happy with what's coming out. Uh, I think that the the space where it's like 300 to like 1,000 is where you're getting the most value right now from a micro brand,
I would agree.
and that's catering to a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah. Like for if you have $500, which
You get a lot.
to a lot of people that's a lot of money for a watch, and I
It
definitely
is a
I
lot of
get it.
money.
And
Yeah,
but it's like you can get so many cool, unique watches that most people that you meet aren't going to have.
yeah.
So many like
And 10 years ago, you couldn't get watches with those specs for that money.
no,
You just
absolutely
couldn't.
not.
You couldn't. Yeah, they're making waves, and I think that there's space for everybody.
Yeah, and
So,
things like Wind Up Watch Fair, and it's like you can go meet the guy
yeah.
that
I
designed it.
bought
You
my
can you
Formax right from the guy himself. It was
Yeah,
great.
which is so cool because ultimately they're all like Mark from Islander. They're all at their core just a watch nerd that decided that they had a cool idea. Which I think it's super fun, and I
Makes
think
me
that so much
want to do it.
variety. Yeah, hey, you know, there's a lot of content creators that have kind of made that jump. Like I met what's it Jody from I forget his YouTube channel
Just
now,
one
but
more
his watch
watch.
brand is Erebus.
Yeah, it's just one more watch.
There we go. Awesome guy, super nice, and he's having a lot of fun with it.
Of
He's getting
course.
some really cool
Doing a good
designs.
job too.
Yeah, and he's gone to China to meet directly with the manufacturers and
Yeah.
make sure the quality is there, and it's like I think that ultimately having a watch nerd make the watches is good too because like we talked about with Mark is like he had all the complaints that we have and he's like
Yeah.
I can fix those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I yeah, I'm excited. Think about what it's gonna be like 10 years from now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna be a
Well,
crazy landscape.
if things keep going the way they're going for you with content creation, you may be able to get some collaborations going. Like um,
Yeah, I want to
the
do a collaboration, man. Like Ben got to do one.
the Urban
I
Gentry's done quite a few with Islander.
Yeah, that's right. Urban Gentry did do them.
He
Yeah.
and what one of his wasn't exactly my taste, but I was like, you know what? That's different. That's cool that you went there.
Yeah, yeah, they took chances with that one.
And
That's for sure.
I wouldn't it wouldn't be for me, but the first one would have.
Oh yeah,
I didn't get it in
for
time. The
sure.
second one was a little bit too out there for what I was looking for,
That one was wild. The build
but
quality was cool though. I handled it.
it's still a cool watch. And
Yeah,
a lot of people, it was for a lot of people, even if it wasn't for me.
yeah. I should hit them up.
You should. I like that idea.
I would do a collab with them.
They're a great brand. And Mark seems very open to. Um, he doesn't have to be the one with the ideas. He just likes cool watches.
He does. Yeah, that guy's awesome. Mark is a
He,
terrific guy. He's
yeah,
very down to earth.
I'd love to meet him. When I stopped by their booth, he wasn't there, but someday.
But yeah, next time you go there, wait around to talk to him. He's worth chatting with.
Because I mean, we're both right outside New York City, so someday
Yeah,
I'll figure that out.
I'm going this year for sure. I won't miss it.
Yeah, I
So
missed it too. I ended up I had, I have my ankle issue, and I had something else to do that weekend, and it's like I can't walk 2 days in a row anymore. It just doesn't. The body won't hold up. So
yeah,
the other thing involved doing something that my daughter wanted to do, so she wins.
yeah, always. But yeah, this year we'll go. I'll
Yeah,
meet you there.
definitely. I think there was actually talk of there was some other event that was supposed to be happening. I think in February, maybe next week, but I got to look into it.
There is
Um,
intersect.
yeah, that's what it was called.
Yep.
I think it was. Was it around the 15th?
I'll double check and I'll text you.
Yeah, because I might try and go to that if I can,
Yeah, you should.
because
Yeah.
I'm right here. So
Yep. I wish
well,
I
this
could,
is
but I can't.
probably a good spot to wrap it up. I don't want to drag this on too long so that people have to watch an hour, couple hours of this. But
But yeah, that's fine, man.
as always, it's great to chat with you. We'll have to do this.
Likewise.
We'll have to do this again sooner, not wait a
Yeah.
whole year between episodes.
Yeah,
But
for
I
sure.
really appreciate you coming on. And I appreciate all of you viewing, taking a little bit of time out of your week to hang out with me here on Books and Beyond. Like I said at the beginning, if you could just hit the like, share, subscribe, send this to somebody that likes watches. I think that they would have a good time and get some good info here. And I will see you again next week.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right.